the passion, the energy, the power, the spirit of hardcore.
Good afternoon. I hope you slept well and you are prepared for the next presentation. I'd like to say that my name is Pavol Luptak. I'm like a global opportunist, which basically means I'm a perpetual traveler, traveling full-time around the world, looking for the best global opportunities, not only for me, but also for my customers. And I decided to create from scratch my completely new presentation, which is called Opt Out of the EU Hacking Guide for Global Opportunities, How to Be Free. This presentation is mainly focused on the EU citizens. So if you're not EU citizens, maybe this won't be applied to you so well, but I think you can still appreciate it. My first question, can you tell me what's on this, like a photo or image? Okay, I'm going to answer you. It's you. It's you in a prenatal stage, signing social contract, which basically means that you, in this stage of your life, you decided to be like a tax slave, paying taxes in the place where you are born. You decided to agree with conscription. You decided to agree to follow a lot of stupid laws. And this was exactly when you voluntarily decided to sign this social contract. I know it's stupid, but this is like an official explanation why you should pay taxes in these days. So one interesting thing you should be aware is that we are now living in a really nasty, in a statist world, and this statist world plays really nasty game. What does it mean? It means that most countries, they try to pretend they don't discriminate people based on their race, based on their religion, based on ethnicity, based on gender, but all countries in the world discriminate all people in the world based on their citizenship or birthplace. So, for example, if you were born in China, you have a Chinese passport, and there are only limited amount of countries where you can visit with a Chinese passport, for example. I have Slovak passport, so I can visit much more countries, for example. So as you can see, we are different just because I was born in Slovakia and someone else was born in China. So we live in the world where it's like a concept of borders and citizenship. And depending where you were born, you have a passport and you have permission to travel. And we call this discrimination based on birthplace visa policy, and it's globally accepted. And at the same time, there are like many citizenship which have like associated duties, like conscription, for example, or tax slavery, for example, American citizens. And at the same time, in addition to citizenship, we have concept of residencies, temporary or permanent residencies, and usually most duties you have in these days, especially in the EU, are associated with residency. So, for example, in Slovakia, mandatory military service conscription is associated with my permanent residence in Slovakia. Fortunately, I don't have my permanent residence in Slovakia. Also, if you have to pay taxes, like a health and social insurance, for example, in the EU, this also associated with your like a permanent residency. So the thing is, we were born in this statist world, and we have to play this nasty game. And the question is, what to do? So what I propose you to do is just follow the rules we have now, and take all advantages you can take, and achieve much or the most freedom you can achieve. So So for example, my personal goal is to have in my wallet the best cards, the best passports and the best cards. So for example, you can see this is like one of the best passport you can buy by investment. Sun Kitts and Nevis. For example, using this passport, you can travel not only with no visa to the EU or the UK, but also you can visit like Russia or you can visit China. As you know, if you're a European citizen, you cannot visit Russia or China without visa. So when you have this Caribbean passport or any Caribbean passport, you have these extra privileges. This is cedula, like a national ID of Paraguay. For example, when you have tax residency in Paraguay, it's a territorial taxation country, so you don't need to pay taxes if you don't have local income in Paraguay. So, for example, me personally, I have not been paying taxes for the last 10 years, just because my territorial taxation is in Paraguay. And then you can have, like, for example, American Express. I can show you how it's quite easily to ask this, like the credit card out of the EU. Or Visa signature, which is the highest Visa signature. So basically, if you have like good cards in your wallet, you have special privileges. Okay. If you're born like a Travian yesterday in Philippines, you are basically fucked. You know, you cannot with your shitty passport, Filipino passport, you cannot travel to the most countries, unfortunately. So you should think about really simple question: do I have the best citizenship and tax residency? And I'm pretty sure that if you want to have the most freedom and you're EU citizen, so you're Czech, Slovak, German, any citizen, I strongly recommend you to get rid of your EU permanent residency, your tax residency, which means also like a mandatory health insurance, social insurance, and the bank account. So at the same time, which is quite interesting, despite the fact that you did or you do all these things, you can still live really nice luxury life in the EU. Okay, I'm going to show you how it's possible. So EU citizenship. You should be aware your EU citizenship is good one. Good one means that there are much more citizenship associated with the global taxation. For example, if you're American citizen, Hungarian citizen, citizen of Eritrea, Myanmar, or Tajikistan, all these citizens of these countries, they have tax duties associated with citizenship, and it doesn't matter where these people live, they still have to declare and pay taxes in these countries. Unfortunately, there are a lot of countries that have associated conscription, like a mandatory military service, with citizenship. You can see like all these countries. If you were born like a Russian or Belarus or South Korea, you have to fight if there is like a war, just because you are like a citizen of these countries. For example, this is not the case of like a Slovak citizenship, because conscription is associated with the permanent residency. So for example, my personal Slovak citizenship is relatively good, because as I told you, military service is associated with the permanent residency. And it's super easy for Slovak people to opt out or to cancel their permanent residency, not with citizenship. For example, Czech citizens, they have associated these military duty, military service with their citizenship. Also, but on the other hand, Slovak citizens cannot have no tax residency, or Czech citizens. What does it mean? It means that if I travel all the time, for example, each day I stay in some different country in the world, I decide to cancel my residency or tax residency in Slovakia, tax office in Slovakia can still ask me, hey man, where do you pay taxes? And I say, what taxes? I'm just traveling all the time. I don't need to pay taxes. And then, okay, that's what do you think? But because you are our citizen, you are a Slovak citizen, you have to pay taxes in Slovakia, because Slovak citizen cannot have no tax residency. So they basically Slovak tax office will usurp you as a tax resident, and you have to pay taxes in Slovakia. That's exactly the reason why all Slovak citizens they need to have tax residency in Prague or Panama or Uruguay or any country, so they can just prove, hey man, you cannot usurp me because I have the tax residence in Prague or Panama or any other countries. But for example, German citizens, this is quite interesting. If you are like a professional perpetual traveler and you are traveling all the time and you are a German citizen, and you don't stay in Germany most of your time, like more than 6 months, and you have no connection in Germany, you can just say, hey, I don't live in Germany, I have no connection in Germany, and the tax office in Germany can say, okay, then in that situation you can have no tax residency. So German citizen can have no tax residency, but most European citizens, they have to have some tax residency somewhere. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so the question is, when exactly should I consider the better citizenship or passport? So the one reason is if you have shitty citizenship, like an American one or Hungarian one, what does it mean? That you have like a global tax liability. So for example, like most customers of this Caribbean island citizenship by investment are American citizens. Because if you're an American citizen and your yearly income is more than 120K dollars per year, it doesn't matter where you live, you have to pay taxes from your global income to the IRS, the American Tax Office. If you're a Hungarian citizen, what you should do, you should ask for second citizenship, dual citizenship. For example, Slovak one, like many Hungarian citizens that have connection with Slovakia, so they can ask for Slovak citizen. If you have dual citizenship, as a Hungarian citizen, in this situation, you also don't need to pay taxes if you don't live in Hungary, which is something. So that's why all my Hungarian friends are asking for second citizenship. Okay, another problem is where citizenship makes you liable for conscription. You don't want to go to war. You can go and fight if you want, but not just because some bureaucrats or some state thinks you should go. And also, you should ask for better citizenship if your passport prevents you from traveling to most countries. So, for example, I'm going to explain you. The only difference between Czech passport and Slovak passport is that Czech citizens can visit South Africa, and also they can visit Lesotho. It's like some kingdom inside of South Africa. But generally, we have the same passport, like the same strong passport. But, for example, Czech or Slovak citizens, we cannot go to China. But if you buy, or we cannot go South Africa like a Slovak citizens, but if you buy like a good Caribbean passport, you can easily visit these countries. Okay, so basically, to get citizenship, you have two options. So the first option is by naturalization. By naturalization is basically you have to live at some place at least 2 years. The most easy country to get citizenship in these days by naturalization is Argentina. Recently, I saw the video of the guy who lived more than 2 years in Argentina on tourist visa with no permanent or temporary residency. He just overstayed tourist visa, and after 2 years he asked immediately for Argentinian citizenship, and he got it. So it's technically possible. Cannot be revoked. This applies only for Argentinian citizens who are born in Argentina, but if you ask it by naturalization, you can. It's a similar legal process. You can ask to opt out your citizenship. By investment, if you cannot afford to live in any country for more than 2-5 years, the most easy solution is probably by investment. This solution is very popular, especially by rich Chinese or rich Russians citizens who basically have shitty passport and they just want to have like a better passport. Probably the best countries is St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda. By the way, you can also buy like officially Spanish passport or Portuguese passport or Malta passport, but these passports are really expensive. For example, if you want to buy Spanish citizenship by investment, it will cost you like €500,000 euros. Citizenship of Malta will cost you 750,000 euros. So it's really expensive. Okay, so EU residency. In the beginning, I told you that having like an EU passport is a really good idea because it's strong. But at the same time, I have to add, having EU residency or residency EU is usually a bad idea. I don't have EU residency for the last 10 years, and to revoke my residency in EU was probably the best things I did. And I'm going to explain you why. Because with your EU residency, you don't have privileges, but you have just a lot of duties. For example, in Slovakia, you have like a conscription, you have a lot of tax duties, because when you have your permanent residency, for example, in Slovakia or Czech Republic, it defines your center of your interest, which is usually used by tax office just to tell you, hey, this will be your tax residency. You have to pay like health, social insurance. You have a lot of collective duties. For example, in Slovakia, we had like a full-scale COVID testing, and all these like duties were associated with your permanent residency. If you're like a Slovak citizen who is like a Slovak tourist in Slovakia, basically you have no duties at all. So it makes sense to have residency in EU only if you are not EU citizen. So, for example, if you're a Chinese citizen or you're a citizen of Turkey or any other non-EU country, in that situation you have to have a temporary permanent residency in EU to be able to stay there. But citizens of the EU, they do not need residency, like a permanent temporary residency, to be able to stay in the EU, which is really, really nice. So definitely consider the better residency, and it doesn't matter if you live in the EU or not. I think it's always a good idea to opt out or to cancel your EU residency. And the reasons, for example, when you have like a military service associated with the residency, it's the case of Slovakia, or when you have tax duties related to your residency, most countries or almost all countries in the EU, or if you have any responsibilities associated with the residency. So, and the thing is, which country is the best one for residency? So it should be like a country with no taxation or territorial taxation. Territorial taxation means you have an obligation to pay taxes only if you have local income in the given country. If you have like a foreign income, you don't need to, not only to pay taxes, but you don't even need to declare your taxes. So this is probably the best. And Paraguay, why Paraguay is so popular? Paraguay is super popular because you can get easily tax residency in Paraguay without living there majority of the year. So that's super cool. So if you're like a digital nomad, you are traveling all the time, you don't stay anywhere more than 6 months, you are like me, I stay in each country like 2 months or 3 months. Paraguay is great because Paraguay tax office just say, hey, you'll be our tax resident. It doesn't matter you don't live here, but you have like a permanent residency here, you're our tax resident. So that's why Paraguay is great, because for example, in Mexico, Georgia, Uruguay, Costa Rica, in all these countries, it's quite easy to get residency, but not tax residency, because to get tax residency, you have to live there at least 6 months. Okay, so here is like a international taxation map. I'm going to explain you like which country are the best one, the worst one. The worst one are these pink ones. So if you're like a citizen of the US, citizen of Hungary, Tajikistan, or some other, Eritrea, this is like Eritrea, you are pretty fucked, which basically means you are, until the end of your life, you're like a tax slave. It doesn't matter where you live, you have to pay taxes. So if you're like enough rich people, enough rich person, you should buy like a better citizenship, for example, in Caribbean island. Then most countries are like a dark blue. You can see it. What does it mean? It means that in these dark blue countries, you have an obligation to pay taxes from your worldwide income. So most EU countries, if you're a tax resident of any EU countries, you have to pay taxes from your worldwide income. So it's not good country, not a suitable country to have like a tax residency. And you have these light blue countries. And what is great about these light blue countries is all Central American countries. It's Bolivia, it's Paraguay. It's these countries that have territorial taxation. Territorial taxation means you pay taxes or declare taxes only from your local income. If you have income out of Paraguay, out of Panama, you don't need to declare or pay any taxes. Super cool. And that's exactly, so you need tax residency in these countries. Okay, so one important thing you should be aware, despite the fact that you get residency easily in any territorial taxation country, for example in Paraguay, it doesn't mean you won't have tax residency in Czech Republic or Slovakia or Germany if you stay there majority of your time. So if you stay majority of your time, for example, in Germany or Slovakia or Czech Republic or any EU countries, you are automatically tax resident of this country. So the like your EU country just say, hey, it doesn't matter that you have citizenship or you have like a tax residency in some other country. You stay here the majority of your time. We don't have signed like a double tax treaty agreement with your tax residency country, so you are automatically our tax residents. And that's exactly what you don't want. So what does it mean? if you want to be free, like a tax-free, you cannot afford to live anywhere more than 6 months. So, but you can live like 5 months in Czech Republic, 5 months in Germany, 2 months somewhere else, and you'll be completely fine. Okay, and the reason is because like most these zero tax or territorial taxation countries, they don't have double tax treaty agreement with EU country. So basically, it means like requirements to define your tax residency are much more stricter, and you cannot basically live in each country more than 183 days. Okay, so what I use in my situation, there is like a nice application which is called Nomad List, and I just put all cities, all countries where I stay some time, and in this application, when there is like likely I will become like a tax resident of any country 1 month before, I receive an email, hey, leave this country because you will become like a tax resident of this country, you know. So I strongly recommend it to this Nomad List. There is even like a fully automatic application which is called Chrono app, but you have to enable like a full GPS tracking, and this application basically tracks you where you are, and if it is likely that you stay somewhere more than 6 months, you just receive notification, leave this country immediately, otherwise you will become like a tax resident. Maybe you know the case with Shakira, you know the case with Shakira in Spain, what happened in Shakira. Shakira is like a Colombian citizen, and she has tax residency in Bermudas. And the problem of Shakira was that she found like a boyfriend from Spain, like in Barcelona. So because of her boyfriend, she moved to Barcelona, and she stayed in Barcelona many days, taking photos, putting to Instagram and YouTube, and using like cards. And so basically, and the Spanish employees of Spanish tax office, they basically find out, according to her social networks, that she spent in Spain more than 6 months, and because of that, she became automatically, just because a few days difference, that she stayed in Spain more than 6 months, and automatically she became like a tax resident of Spain with a duty to pay tax, I don't know, 16 million euros or something like that. You know, so you should be really, check how many days you stayed in each country. Okay. Okay. And now recommendation, but of course, but we say, hey, okay, so you are a different case, but me personally, I cannot afford to travel so much like you. I want to live in Slovakia, I want to live in Czech Republic majority of your time. How it's possible to stay in Slovakia or the Czech Republic or any EU country and not to pay taxes? This is like a question. So if you have to stay in a tax-held country, which is basically any EU country, for more than 183 days, you are automatically tax resident of this country. But it doesn't mean you have to pay taxes, okay? Because if you have no income in a tax-held country, so basically no income means no taxes. So the question is, how it's possible to live in Slovakia or Czech Republic majority of my time and not pay any taxes? Okay, so all rich people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, all these multi-billionaires, they don't pay taxes because they live from loans. Okay, so this is one important thing. The richest people in the world, they live from loans. Because if you live from loan, it's not for your profit. You can even use your interest from your loan as a expense, basically. And if you're like a crypto person, you can live from crypto loans. So for example, I know many people now in Slovakia and Czech Republic, and they live from loans. So it's very easy to ask and start living from crypto loans. You can use between like a centralized way. There is like an application, there is like a company called Firefish or Nexo. These are like real companies. You use your Bitcoin as a collateral, you know, and you ask for fiat, and they basically connect you with another person, and this person you sign like a contract with this person, and this person basically lend you money and send your money and send this money to your bank account. So you can show to your like a Slovak bank account or like Czech bank account or tax office official agreement, like loan agreement. Hey, I just borrowed money from this person, and that's all. So really nice, everything 100% legal. Another option is decentralized. Decentralized is really nice because you can ask for crypto loan in a completely anonymous way, and you can ask this loan from you. So basically, you can lend or you can borrow money from you. This is like a bit crazy, but it's quite easy to do that. You can use platform like a AAVE or SparkFi. If you have any Bitcoins, any Ethereum, you just need to make like a web version, put them to the smart contract, and you can easily borrow, for example, stablecoins, USDC, USDT, DAI, or anything like that, and you can top up your Xapo card with the stablecoins, and you can live with that. And this is super easy because in Slovakia or in any EU country, as a physical person, if you cancel your residency, you have no income, you live from crypto loan, your companies still can have profit, and you can still like survive with it because your company can still have a profit and expenses. So if you live in any EU country majority of your time, you don't want to pay any taxes, like any health or social taxes. You have to renounce. You have to cancel your permanent residency. You have to live from your savings, if you have a lot of savings in cash, for example, or crypto loans. Okay, EU bank account. Usually, I don't use like a bank in the EU because I think it's not a good idea. For example, in Slovakia, police and secret services have full access to all your bank accounts without court order. So in Slovakia, we have like a secret agency which is called SIS, or you have a police, and they can easily access to your bank account with any special permission. They know basically everything. If you want to open the EU bank account, you have to have EU residency. So, for example, despite the fact that I'm EU citizen, like a Slovak, but I'm resident in Prague, Slovak banks are not willing to open me the bank account. But I don't care because I don't need to use like a Slovak bank account. I have like a super premium bank account in Georgia. I'm going to explain you later. And if you want to have EU bank account, you have like a credit card, for example, you need to have like a regular income. I don't have regular income, but I want to have credit cards, okay? And of course, like EU banks are not crypto friendly. They easily can block your bank account just because you use crypto. Okay, so the thing is, if it is possible, if you can afford it, you should stay in Bitcoin. You should stay in Bitcoin crypto. Because having a bank account is the biggest privacy risk. It's a privacy issue. Using bank account is a privacy issue because all banks, they report you and they have to report you because if they don't report you, they cannot have like a banking license. So they have to report you. Okay, so banks is the most significant privacy risk for doing any business just because of the reporting, the capabilities to monitor and freeze transactions. So the thing is, you can say, okay, but I cannot switch to crypto completely because Bitcoin is volatile. I cannot use it. But you say, okay, so in that situation, you can use stablecoins. You can use stablecoins. There are a lot of fully functional stablecoins, or you can use hedging. There are many hedging platforms which you can use just to eliminate like volatility of Bitcoin. And another interesting thing is if you can do business, if you can without the bank account, like for example, like I work for the company Liberation Travel, and we don't have the bank account. And thanks to this fact, we can have company in any country in the world. Because the thing is that it's super easy to start the company in Seychelles, in any Caribbean island, anywhere. So opening the company, offshore company, is super easy task. The biggest problems if you work in this offshore business is to open the bank account for the given offshore company. So for example, it's quite easy to start a company in Seychelles, Panama, but it's almost impossible to open the business bank account, even in Panama for Panamanian company. Okay, so if you can afford to operate without bank accounts, the number of countries you can do business from increases significantly. So if you don't use bank accounts, you can create a company anywhere in the world and you can use it. Okay, it's much easier. So another important question, do you really need a bank account? Okay, because for example, my approach is I decided to do business with my Bitcoin tribe or my crypto tribe because these are my potential customers. I really ignore people who are not willing to use crypto, people who are not willing to Bitcoin. It's not my kind of customer, right? Just ignore them, They are just obsolete, stuck somewhere in the 20th century. I don't care about these people. Okay, so I'm really like a really hardcore. If you don't use crypto, I don't want you as a customer. And you should do the same. But sometimes it's not possible, and you still have to use the bank account. What I use, my main bank account is premium seller bank account in the Bank of Georgia. And I'm going to explain you what advantages offers me this bank account compared to any EU bank. So the cool thing is, I have nothing in common with Georgia. So basically, I don't need to have residency or any connection in Georgia. So for example, I'm a Slovak citizen, I have residence in Prague, Uruguay, Panama. So this is like a super cool. I don't need to show I don't need to show them like any regular income or anything like that. I don't need to have any connection with Georgia. It's like a crypto friendly. So you can use like a Georgian crypto exchanges like a crypto.com, where you can send any crypto, change your crypto and withdrawal. In a few minutes you will receive it in your bank account. What is cool is, with your bank account, you have the highest Visa signature. For example, there is no Slovak or Czech bank that can offer you like a Visa signature, only Visa Platinum. So I have all these cards. So Visa signature basically means if I want to pick up money anywhere in the world, I don't pay any fees. It's completely free in all countries with no limits. So I have this Visa signature benefits. I also have Visa Platinum. I have the highest MasterCard or Elite card. Also, I have like an American Express credit card. For example, cool thing is I have like a 12 access, like entrances to airport lounges, which is enough when I travel a lot. And also, if you fly from Vienna or Prague, there is something what is called Visa Fast Track. So basically, you can skip all these security, airport security checks and passport control, and you have like a private access. And it's possible just because you use like a Visa signature, Visa Platinum. So super cool. And also, I use like a Visa Coin Search and Solo Coin Search. So I have like a private virtual assistant. I use WhatsApp basically to use my banking in Georgia, which is super cool. Other options, what you can use Xapo, which is Gibraltar company. This is probably the best crypto debit card. The only problem is that they have already increased their prices for like a bank account to $1,000 per year, so it's quite expensive now. Or you can use Dukas Copy Bank. All these companies, like Bank of Georgia, Xapo, Dukas Copy Bank, they're Paraguayan friendly. So, for example, no Slovak bank or no EU bank will open me the bank account if I'm Paraguayan resident. But with these banks out of the EU, they have no problems with me at all. And these are like really good banks. Okay, EU company. Having EU company is really good. Is really bad idea. And just because it's the most bureaucratic and regulated company in the world. And you understand it only when you start to use any offshore company. If you use like a Seychelles company or any offshore company, for example, accounting is optional. You can do accounting if you want, but you don't need to if you don't want. Can you imagine such freedom? Like accounting is not mandatory. You have like high taxes. You have a lot of duties. For example, in Slovakia, we have this like a company license, and you have to pay this company license. It doesn't matter if you have like an income profit or not at all. But still, there are a lot of places in the EU where you can create like a relatively good EU company. I recommend like a Cyprus. So my question is, why company in Cyprus is so popular? Maybe I should change the question. Why Alza? Alza is the biggest e-shop for electronics in Slovakia and Czech Republic. Why Alza is owned by the 100% by the Cyprus company? Why Cyprus? Okay, so why Cyprus or Malta? Because Cyprus is the only country together with Malta that signed double tax treaty agreement with the Seychelles. So this is like a typical offshore combo for Slovak or Czech entrepreneurs, because you can deduct your expenses using your company in Cyprus. But in Cyprus, you still have to pay like a 12.5%, but finally you don't pay it because in 1 month or 2 months you receive like another invoice from a Seychelles company. And when you receive invoice from the Seychelles company or a Cyprus company, you can use it at expense and you can deduct. So finally, you don't need to pay any taxes. Okay. Also, there are Ireland 12.5%, Bulgaria 10%, Estonia 20%. This will be increased from the next year in Estonia. But what is kind of interesting is like a Czech Republic. If you are like a small entrepreneur, so for example, your yearly profits are under 2 million Czech crowns, which is approximately 80,000 euros. In this situation, it makes to use this like a Czech. It's called like a Czech živnost. It's basically like a working on contract, and you can have effective tax 7%. So if your yearly income is really small, I strongly recommend you to use this Czech legal subject. Even in Slovakia. So this is quite strange. The best way to do business in Slovakia is using like a Czech company now. Yeah, but it's unfortunately true. Okay. So if it is not possible to prove you that your business is physically done in the EU, for example, my situation, because I offer a lot of services or IT or consulting or any marketing or anything you can imagine, in this situation, it doesn't make sense to use the EU company. It doesn't make sense. So in this situation, you should use like a US LLC disregarded company. You know, this is like a super cool with the Prague and tax residency, because if you own the US LLC company as the tax resident of Paraguay, and you do business, for example, with this US LLC company in Slovakia or Czech Republic or any EU country, you basically don't need to pay any taxes, because in this situation, tax duty of this US LLC company is transferred to the tax duty of the owners, tax residency of the owner of this company, which is Paraguay. And in Paraguay, there is territorial taxation, so you don't need to pay any taxes. So for example, I don't pay any taxes completely legally. If you have US customers, you can use like a UK LLP company, or you can use Gibraltarian company. So as I told you, if you own these companies as a tax resident of a territorial taxation country, like a Panama, Paraguay, you can achieve 0% total taxation with almost no extra duties. Yes, it's technically possible. Nobody can believe it's legal, but yes, it's 100% legal. You don't need to pay taxes. You just need to think about it. But if you can do that, you don't need to pay any taxes. Because, for example, we used to say, if you pay taxes, you support like a local mafia. You don't want to support like a local mafia. So it can even make sense if you have tax residence in the EU. So even if you own like the US company as a Slovak tax resident, you need to pay like a tax from dividends from this US company. But still, it can make sense for you just because it's significantly less bureaucracy. You know, so that's explanation. EU health insurance. So the first thing what you should be aware, if you pay healthcare insurance, that it's not healthcare insurance. It's not healthcare insurance because it's healthcare tax. Because it doesn't depend on your age, it doesn't depend on your state of your body, how healthy you are or how ill you are, but it depends on your salary. So basically, what we pay in the EU is like a health tax, and in Slovakia we have really crazy health tax, which is 15%. In Slovakia, all physical persons, they have to pay like a health tax 50%, even for selling crypto or selling Bitcoin, which is really crazy. So that's why we have like a total taxation 40%. And despite the fact you can pay 10,000 euros just to health tax in Slovakia, you still have no extra premium services. So for example, you still have to pay if you have like a private like a dentist, for example, in Bratislava, you still have to pay a lot of money just for private services, and they won't cover it. The other problem is if you pay like a healthcare tax or healthcare insurance in Europe, you have no idea what your insurance covers. You have no idea. So for example, if you get some experimental cancer or like some unique cancer and you need like experimental treatment or something like that, your healthcare insurance can say, hey, I'm really sorry, but we won't cover it to you because it's like just too super expensive. So you have no idea what your insurance covers. For example, I pay like international global insurance, and in my situation, I know exactly like what illnesses, for example, or medical conditions are included in my healthcare insurance. And it's obligatory, so you cannot avoid them with tax residency and income in the given. So despite the fact you can pay the best international global healthcare insurance, you still have to pay local mandatory healthcare insurance because it's not healthcare insurance, because it's a healthcare tax. And the thing is, you still have to wait many weeks or months for medical procedures. This is quite interesting to say. We have many customers, for example, from Czech Republic and Slovakia, who decided to opt out the system. So basically, they canceled their residency And after that, medical system started to work. And the question, how it's possible? Because in Czech Republic, Slovakia, or any EU country where you want to visit any specialist, you call the specialist and you ask him, hey, I want to make like a CT, I want to make Röntgen, I want to like any special, health checkup or anything like that. The first question he will ask you is, okay, so can you tell me where are you insured, like which insurance company? And you say, okay, I'm insured, I don't know, in Dôvera, so it's like some healthcare company in Slovakia. And then he checked in his Excel sheet that there is like a quote, like a limit for all patients of the given healthcare insurance company. So, for example, he can do like a 10 Röntgens or 10 CT scans for the patients of Dôvera per 1 week. So basically, when these these quotas, when they are filled, he will just tell you, okay, it's possible, but maybe in 3 months. And then I will call to your specialist, to your medical doctor, and I will ask him the same question. I want to do like a CT scan. Can you tell me the date? And he asked me this question. Okay, what is your healthcare insurance? And I will tell him, I don't have any insurance. I pay by cash. And his second question will be, okay, can you come tomorrow? So this is quite interesting. Like a Slovak medical or Czech medical healthcare system start to work for people who decided to cancel their permanent residency. It's like a bit paradox, but it's what's just happening. Okay, so I recommend you pay the best international healthcare insurance. For example, I pay like a William Russell. These healthcare insurance have 2 parts. One part is called inpatient, which basically covers all your expenses related to hospitalization. So when you stay in hospital for multiple days, or another part is called like outpatient. Outpatient means that it covers all one-day visits. For example, health checkups, for example, or any X-ray or MRI visits. So basically, you can choose depending on your age and on your medical state. You can choose which kind of insurance you want. It starts from $50 up to $1,000. For example, I pay William Russell only this inpatient part of my international global insurance, and I'm a big fan of medical tourism. So my practical medical doctor is like in Kuala Lumpur. So I use every 2 years, I visit like Kuala Lumpur, and I do like a full health checkup for like $400, something like that. And it's a really nice experience. Mobile operator. Okay, this is another interesting thing you should be aware. If you live in the EU and you pay some like a mobile operator into the EU, it's very likely it's not the best one. For example, all Czech or Slovak mobile operators are just too expensive. And I recommend you to check this website, which is called Mobimetro. It's like an aggregator of multiple eSIM providers in the EU, not in the EU, but in the world. So, for example, I use like a Polish eSIM provider, which is called Sparks, and I pay $40, like less than €1 for 1 gigabyte, and it works perfectly in all European countries. If you have residence in Paraguay, there's like a great Paraguayan operator which is called Personal, and I paid €23 for 30 gigabytes, and it works in all American countries, including EU countries. If you're like a professional traveler and you are traveling all the time, I strongly recommend you to buy the Pocketfi. It's a product of one company from Hong Kong, and they offer the cheapest global coverage, like an internet coverage. It works basically in all countries in the world, except of Cuba, North Korea, Ethiopia, maybe Kashmir, some countries, but it works in all countries, and it's the cheapest one. So it costs only $2.50 for 1 gigabyte. So I recommend you to use this Pocketfi. Okay, so now let's summarize scenarios for these opt-out scenarios. I'm going to describe the two scenarios. The first scenario is for a person who is digital nomad like me. So it's a person who can afford to travel most of the time. So this is like a scenario for people who can afford not to stay anywhere more than 6 months. And then I have another scenario for people who stay at one place, who basically live in one place. So let's summarize it. If you want to opt out of the system and have no duties, just privileges, what you should do. So regarding digital nomads, I recommend you be solely permanent and tax resident of Paraguay. So basically it means don't stay in any country except of Paraguay for more than, you don't need to live in Paraguay, but you don't leave, so you don't need to live there at all. You just need to make some visits. But you cannot you cannot stay in any country more than 6 months, or you cannot have center of interest out of these countries. In this situation, I strongly recommend you, if you have non-US customers, to have US LLC company for doing business anywhere out of the US. So you can use this US LLC company for doing business in Slovakia, Czech Republic, any EU country. If it is possible, I recommend you not to use bank accounts and stay in crypto, because when you stay in crypto, you have the most freedom and privacy. If you have US customers, I also have some US customers. I use like a UKL pure Gibraltarian company for doing business with the US customers. And then about my personal bank account. What is super cool about Paraguay and tax residency is that Paraguay didn't sign CRS. So Paraguay didn't do any CRS reporting, they didn't send any information to tax offices. So I strongly recommend you to have, as a Paraguayan tax resident, to have the bank account in Bank of Georgia, which is called Premium Cell Bank Account, or Xapo Crypto Card, or Dukas Kobe Bank. So all these banks are super cool banks with the best cards, the most benefits, and almost and no duties, no reporting. So there is no reporting because you will register there as a Paraguayan tax resident, not as a resident of EU. Because if you open this bank account as a resident of the EU, they will report you to your tax office. Okay, and you should pay the global international healthcare insurance. So this is scenario from digital nomad. Let's consider this scenario, which is called opt-out, stay at one place. So, if you are EU citizen and you don't want to travel a lot, it still doesn't make sense to have residency in your citizenship country. So, if you are a citizen of Germany, citizen of Slovakia, Czech, any EU country, usually it doesn't make sense to have residency in this country. So I recommend you to cancel your EU residencies, because then you will cancel all duties related to your residency, which means health insurance, social insurance, military service, like conscription, everything like that. It also means when you stay at one place more than 6 months, you're automatically tax resident of the given country, but it doesn't mean you have to pay taxes. It doesn't mean you have to pay any social or healthcare insurance, because you can afford, or you can have no income at all. No income means no taxes. And this is possible thanks to the crypto loans. You can use AAV, Spark, or companies like Nexo or Farfish. And this is quite interesting that okay, so how it's possible to live from crypto loan, from long-term perspective? Quite easy. All of us, we believe that Bitcoin will go to the moon, I believe everybody believes here that Bitcoin is going to the moon. So what you can do, you can take your Bitcoins, you can use your Bitcoin as a collateral, you can ask for crypto loan, you can ask for USDT, USDC using AAV, and then in 1 year, Bitcoin goes up. It will increase its value. So what you can do, you don't need to have such big collateral for this loan. You can take part of this collateral and use it as a new collateral for the second loan, and you can use this second loan to pay the first loan. And then when Bitcoin goes up in second or third year, what you can do, you can also take this increased collateral because you don't need it for this loan, and use it as a collateral for third loan, and you can pay second loan with your third loan. So basically, all the time you can live from loans. I know it's crazy, but I know real people who live from that, and they are super happy. So they all the time they live just from loans. They don't pay any taxes. They're like a rich person. They just have Bitcoin. And it's super nice because loan is not tax event. So there are no obligation to pay any taxes, and you can live from loans until the end of your life or until the end of the life of your tax office. Okay. So So as I told you, your scenario, you live majority of your time at one place. Cancel residency, cancel your duties. Use like a global healthcare insurance, leave from crypto loans. It's super easy. This is super easy. You can set up in 5 minutes. It's super easy. You should do that. All my good friends who live in Slovakia, they just leave from crypto loans. Okay. Instead of obligatory healthcare insurance, pay global international healthcare. If you cancel residency in any EU country, you cannot ask for the new driving license. But it doesn't matter because we can help you to get like a Paraguayan driving license. And in any EU countries, you can use your Paraguayan driving license and you're fine. Okay, that's all. I'm really more than sure that it is always a good idea to opt out of the EU. Thanks a lot. Questions? If you have any questions. Yeah?
Yeah, I have microphone.
Thank you very much. Hi, great talk. Thanks for doing that. I'm wondering, have you ever been audited, or anyone you know with a similar setup to yourself that has been audited and had your plan put to the test?
Like just companies, because this is quite interesting.
Yeah, companies. Your company has been audited.
My company has never been audited, but I know companies of my friends, they were audited and no problems at all.
And they have a similar setup to you in
Paraguay. What is quite interesting? When you cancel residency, for example, in any EU country, like the government will delete you from most government registers. So basically, stop exist in the given system. And basically, because many people ask me a very simple question. Okay, what potential problems may I have if I cancel my permanent residency in Slovakia or Czech Republic or anywhere? So this is like a typical question many customers ask me. And I tell them, hey, these are like really bad questions. Because the correct question is, what potential problems will I have in the future when I decide to keep my permanent residency? Because I will be in the register of like a healthcare insurance company, social insurance, any tax office, anywhere. So these are like wrong questions. You will have problems just because you are in the government databases and the government knows about you. So you should be deleted from the government registries and everything. And it means when you don't exist, nobody will cause you any problems basically. And also, like as a physical person, of course, the company can be audited. But you don't need to use any EU company to do business inside of the EU. So, for example, I use like a US company to do business in Slovakia, Czech Republic, and these countries. It's completely fine. So you can do business in the EU without using EU company, and you don't need to. If you're a citizen of the EU, you don't need to have any tax residency. So you can be completely removed from all these government registers, be free, no problems, and do business with your offshore company in the EU, and you're fine.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. I was just wondering because, like, given you spend so little time in Paraguay, or you could potentially spend so little time in Paraguay, right? And then you've got all your family, and you've got a citizenship, and maybe you've got a business in your home country, and then they could make the case that, you are going to get taxed there.
Paraguay has a territorial taxation, so basically means when you do business, for any job physically done in Paraguay, you should pay 10% tax because it's physically done in Paraguay. And it's called like a Paraguayan source income. So in this situation, you pay taxes in Paraguay. Of course, in Paraguay, nobody can prove you anything, but legally, according to the law, for any job physically done in Paraguay, it doesn't matter if it is a job for foreign company or the local company. If it is physically done in Paraguay, it should be taxed in Paraguay. But this works for all countries.
Yeah, sure. I was just it was something I was considering because you have Dubai, you have the 90-day tax residency, right?
Yes.
And you get a piece of paper from them, and it says, Dubai says you're a tax resident in Dubai, right? But if you present that to like an EU country, it's just toilet paper,
Okay. So I can make like a beautiful comparison of Prague and Dubai because I did like many times. The problem of Dubai is this 90-day like a residency certificate, but if you want like a real international recognized certificate from Dubai that you are tax resident of Dubai, you have to live there at least 6 months. So these 90 days things doesn't work. I can compare very shortly like the benefits, advantages of like Dubai and Dubai residency and Prague residency. So the biggest problem of Dubai, not only Dubai but most country, is to have tax residency in Dubai, you have to really live there at least 6 months. This is like a fact. Also, to keep your residency in Dubai, you have to visit this country every 6 months, and they check it. So unless you have like a golden visa, when you buy like a super like expensive property, you have to visit like Dubai every 6 months. In Paraguay, when you get like a permanent residency, you need to visit country once per 3 years. So it's like a big difference. Like
and why do they not care about Paraguay? Because I thought this would more rely on the EU constituencies, like their judgment, rather than what Paraguay says or what Dubai says.
I think they care like it's like I think they in the EU they also recognize this tax certificate for Dubai if you live there like more than 6 months.
Yeah, if more than 6 months, but like less than 6 months. You know, Dubai says your tax residency.
I don't know why they don't care. They simply don't care. You know, like it's like we.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I think it'd be useful to have some case studies maybe on your website to give confidence to your customers. You know.
Yeah. In Paraguay, we can register you to the tax office immediately when you get like a national ID, and you don't need to live there. This is like a super cool. Yeah. So another thing is that to get the residency in Dubai, you need to make like blood test. You know, the blood test is required. You need to have a company, like a Dubai companies, or you have to be employee of the Dubai company, and having this company is quite expensive. So you have to pay like a $3,000-4,000 per year. Yeah. So it's quite expensive. You don't need to have any company in Paraguay. You don't need to have any property in Paraguay. You don't have to do anything like that. So this is another cool thing. What else? In Dubai introduced like a corporate tax, like 9% now. So it's also like not the best deal. So yeah. Very short.
I mean, if you have some examples of friends, I mean, I know like, you know, you're giving out free advice here, but it'd be great to have like some case studies on your website. I think that'd be a great idea because
we have many customers who moved from Dubai to Paraguay. Yeah. Just because, and the reason was it was just too expensive. Dubai residence is just too expensive because of the company and any issues related to this. Prague is like a cheap, you know. So yeah. Also, by the way, also in Uruguay, you can get tax residency without staying in Uruguay majority of your time. It's technically possible, but in that situation, you have to buy property at least for $380,000, which is quite expensive, or do invest in $2 million, something like that. So there are like a specific condition to get tax residency without staying in a given country, but it's more expensive.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Another question?
Thank you so much for the incredible talk. This question, I don't know if it's like necessarily in your realm, but basically, which countries offer the best protections for companies building privacy-preserving technology?
This is like okay. Maybe I would use like a navies. If you know navies, navies is like a country which provides a pretty big protection because, for example, if the police or any governments won't get any information about your navy's company, for example, like a owner's infrastructure of your company, if they want to ask for it, they have to pay $100,000. You know, so basically, navies say, okay, we can provide you any information about a company as you wish, but firstly pay $100,000. So this is exactly like that may increase like a protection of. So probably navies, maybe Panama, maybe Panama. It depends. Everything depends where you have customers. For example, it's super easy to create, for example, a non-profit organization in Switzerland. So in Switzerland, when you just sign any contract, you know, with two or three friends, you can just create like a non-profit organization, and Swiss banks can open you the bank account. So it's very easy also in Switzerland, for example. So maybe you can just contact me and when you provide me more information, especially where you have customer, what kind of business do you do exactly. I can provide you more info.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, question?
Yeah, thanks. Great talk. I'm wondering, as an American and living in Czech Republic, I think that obviously some of these things just don't apply. But
yeah.
To get as far as you can in that direction, I'm wondering what you would recommend, and also specifically, I guess, about healthcare. I mean, and also check bank accounts, because you need a check bank account to pay bills often.
Okay, so my first question is, okay, what I used to ask American customers, your yearly income is less or more than 120K?
Less.
Okay, so in this situation, you don't need to care, because you just if you're like a tax resident of Czech Republic, you have no you have just declaration duties to the IRS, but that's all. You don't need to care. If you earn more than like a 220K, I recommend you. Basically, Americans, they have like a rich American, they have two options. If they want to stay in the US, they should move to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is like a tax haven for like an American citizen. And if you want to live out of the US, the best is just give up like a US citizenship and ask the citizenship of any Caribbean country. But they double prices, so now it costs from 300K. It's quite expensive. Yeah. So, but in your situation, if you live in Czech Republic, you don't have like an income more than 120K. Probably the most easy and the cheapest solution is have to this Česká živnost, because if you have income less than 2 million Czech crowns, you just pay flat tax, like a flat healthcare insurance, social insurance, everything. It is super cheap. So if you don't have income more than like a 2 million Czech crowns, which is like a $90,000, investment to any offshore infrastructure usually doesn't make sense. It's just more expensive. So in this your situation, just pay for this Czech živnost, like contract, and it's the cheapest and most easy and the tax effective solution for you.
And international health insurance to avoid the social.
Yeah, you can use like international healthcare, but at the same time, because you have residency here, you have to pay. It's included in the price,
right.
So it doesn't make so much sense for you because if you want to be resident of any EU country, you have to pay. You have to pay like a mandatory healthcare insurance. So you can pay an international one, but it'll be like an extra expense.
Okay, so there's no way to get out of that. So that's what I was wondering specifically. If I could
No. In your situation, it's not possible, right? because you are not Czech citizen.
Yeah.
So what I recommend you to do, just wait like a few years to get citizenship in the Czech Republic, and immediately when you get like a Czech passport, cancel your residency here. So you should have your residency just because you're an American citizen living in the Czech Republic. But immediately, as you get like a Czech citizenship, the next day cancel your residency here, and you will be like a free person because you can live here as a Czech citizen without necessity. We don't need permission like a Czech residency. You need it because you're an American citizen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Okay.
Amazing talk. In your opinion, what do you think that countries, Paraguay or Malta, or can quit that benefits that you mentioned?
Man, you're like a global opportunist. Global opportunist means that if anything is changed anywhere, you just move to somewhere else. It's quite easy. So you should be very flexible. So, for example, if Paraguay changes the condition, you easily can move to Uruguay or somewhere else. You should be like a global opportunist means you are flexible. You are free because you're flexible, and flexibility means that anything is changed anywhere, no problem. We are just moving it like to some another country. So like flexibility, it's like crucial.
But in that moment, Paraguay, for example, is the better.
Yeah,
or?
I think Paraguay is the best. So for me, most of our customers, they have residency in Paraguay, tax residency in Paraguay. They have companies in the US or Gibraltar, and they have bank accounts in Georgia. So this combo is probably the best. But of course, next year it can be completely different. But this is like best for the last few years, for example. So
amazing. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot.